The Democratic Party has shifted significantly to the left. Bernie Sanders, who 3 years ago had fringe ideas, is now the poster child for the American people with regard to the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. I didn't leave them.
Which is why Howard Schultz is persona non grata within Democratic Party circles, and that could hurt his business as well. At least Charlie Gasparino is right. Charlie, on that and much more.
We should point out that Starbucks is doing very well business-wise, not just because of your love of pumpkin spice lattes, but because the stock is way up. I mean, it's at an all-time high. They're going to report earnings in a couple of weeks.
Would Democrats in droves just say, all right?
Here's what I'm hearing, and the company knows this as well. We have sources inside Starbucks, and here's what we know. Starbucks is bracing for a backlash if Schultz does this 2020 run as an independent. Obviously, the idea is if he runs as an independent, a lot of Democrats think he can help re-elect Donald Trump because he's a longtime Democrat. What they're bracing for are boycotts from activists calling for boycotts of Starbucks, of the company itself, if Schultz, who's no longer really affiliated other than as a the largest shareholder, right? He's not a chairman, not the CEO, he's the founder, obviously. But they are bracing for this thing to get pretty sticky from a corporate standpoint if he does run. We do know this, that Starbucks has been tracking social media, looking at the various activist groups, monitoring their activity. So far, they haven't seen much now, but, you know, this is kind of a quiet period for Schultz. Schultz, what I understand from inside the campaign, is that he is going to take the next 6 weeks or so to decide whether he's going to run or not.
Do people, average people, make the association, Schultz, oh, the guy who started Starbucks? Or is there such a disconnect here? I love my Starbucks. I don't care if this guy is from Mars. First of all, he's no longer active manager. You know, so what do you say?
He's the largest shareholder.
Indeed.
I mean, listen, this is a very polarized country right now. And, you know, boycotts do happen. You know, Fox gets boycotts, you know, they do happen. They do have an economic impact.
And you could get a boycott, like you said, organized, and it would certainly draw attention.
Right. I mean, committed Democrats, there's a lot of them that go to Starbucks. They like Starbucks, not just for the coffee. They like its social message. And you know, Howard has always had that social message. He pays for people's college educations. He theoretically pays for their health. Yeah, not theoretically, pays for their health care. I mean, it's a different type of, it's a company run by a liberal. Howard Schultz is a liberal.
Does this sound like a guy who would just pull all of this and say, forget it, it's not worth it?
He's a pretty tough guy. I ran into him in the hallway. He did not like something I reported recently, and he got right in my face. Yeah, I do. Yeah. But, you know, he thought he was, like, scaring me, but, you know, it's like just another day at the office. But my point is, he's a pretty determined dude. I mean, his whole life has been one of determination. He come from a rich family, grew up in a housing project, went to school on a football scholarship, built this company, basically, right, up from... You know, he was not the founder, but is he the founder? I can't remember, but he's one of the primary builders of Starbucks.
Well, he was the guy who came up with the idea people will pay a lot for coffee.
Yes,
to make it
and my point is he's a tough guy, and he's been around.
Now, the traditional argument, the reason why Democrats hate the idea that he might run as an independent, it would destroy the Democratic nominee's chances.
That's the whole thing.
Siphon votes from them.
You know, but I wonder, I mean, I think the bigger question is the business corporate question we're raising. Would his run, I mean, there's no doubt the Democratic activists are going to try to boycott. They're going to mount a massive economic boycott. Would it have an impact? You know, we can only surmise. I think it would have some impact. I think Democrats are annoyed. I mean,
would you short Starbucks stock the better he looks?
Here's what I would say. My sources on this are not some like lunatics and in the labor union. These are generally insiders of the Democratic Party insiders who are monitoring this stuff. And they are saying that the anger from not just the activists, but from the party, the people running the party at Howard Schultz right now is at a fevered pitch. They despise him from doing it. They think it's an ego trip. They think there's no way he can run. Unless he really wants to re-elect Trump, he's out of his mind. That's what they're telling me. So if the sort of rank and file Democrats,
wouldn't they be more hurt if they pick a far left, extreme left nominee?
They don't think that's going to happen. They think that
they'll settle on Joe Biden. Keeps
Biden or Kamala Harris or Cory Booker or some combination of Beto or whatever. They don't think Bernie is the guy that's going to get it. And they think this is theirs for the taking, except Howard Schultz. So the anger among party sort of officials, like I said, I'm not talking about the anger. It's so palpable that you could see where they would help and aid the activists in targeting Starbucks.
We're a couple of minutes away from the president, so I did want to go on to discuss something with you about what the president has been talking about with getting tough at the border. Also, he's meeting with the South Korean leader, talking about maybe a third summit and all. His poll numbers have picked up a little bit here. I'm wondering, though, on economic matters, if that, which they have picked up, is that enough to close the deal? I've always argued he would be up 10 points more in the polls, if not for all the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a wild card. I mean, listen, sometimes you compare him to, I mean, he was never polled well against Hillary, and people held their nose and voted for him because they thought she was worse. I mean, maybe one of these Democrats would be considered worse. And by the way, we haven't vetted Kamala Harris. We haven't vetted Cory Booker totally. We don't know what's in their closet. We know what's in Trump's a known entity. So remember that. You know, I could just say this. I know Larry Kudlow pretty well. I know what he's trying to do right now. He's working feverishly on trying to get the trade deal done. He believes if the trade deal can get done, it's going to propel the markets even higher. Trump loves.
What if we then go from that to getting in a real big fight with the Europeans, the EU?
Listen, I think this is rolling fights, right?
I got it.
You get Trump, you get China out of the way.
Yeah, but it's like you do. You're not happy unless you're fighting.
Right, but isn't that Trump?
Yeah.
Appeal to the base,
absolutely,
and then try to work something out. So, Kudlow is saying is working real hard to make this happen. And if it happens, he thinks it's 2,000 points.
And now
on the
there's
Dow.
talk that the Chinese could open up cloud computing areas.
I read that. But, you know, every time I read that, they say, yeah, and then the next day you read it, oh, no, they really didn't mean this. You know, they're
for all the promises I've seen online.
Right, nothing.
They're
a tricky bunch. I don't believe
Riddle wrapped in a conundrum, as are you.
I don't believe anything I hear out of these talks until I see the fine print.
Now,